assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Bekhair agale, ni hao, tune shumme, washmale, Ohio, genzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hal shama chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PT1 and watching one this morning alongside the very amazing Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shiza, how are you today?
I am absolutely great, and there are two reasons for that, and in this show we're going to discover them one by one.
Exactly, so I thought that you were actually going to ask me how I feel today, but you never did. But
you
it's
stopped me. You don't like the question. So
no,
anyway, how are you?
I think today was the day to ask, but I'm absolutely perfect, and I feel very energized, ladies and gentlemen, and it's because of the fact that it's 25th of December. First things first, it's the birth anniversary of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, who's the father of the nation, founder of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, other than that, it's Christmas. So everybody who's out there, happy Christmas
Merry
to all
Christmas,
of you. Merry
yes.
Christmas, yeah, that's what it is. But the first half of the show, ladies and gentlemen, will be dedicated to Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and then in the later half, we'll definitely have all these celebrations. We'll be singing carols and whatnot. But before we do that, we have a small report. Go ahead, take a look, and when you guys will come back, we'll introduce our guest to you, and we'll ask them, where are we in terms of Quaid-e-Azam's vision?
Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the most admired leader of the Muslims of the subcontinent, was a man having a strong and unmatched moral character. He is quoted as an example of impeccable integrity on which he never compromised. He is not only a great leader of Muslims of Indian subcontinent, but he also holds an important position in the row of world politicians. He was a lawyer, but he opted politics when he saw the sufferings of Muslims of the subcontinent. Jinnah stepped forward as the torch-bearer who gave a new direction to the Indian Muslims and strived them to work hard for their rights. The thing that distinguishes him from other leaders of the world is that he used Britain's constitution to defeat British and won independence for his nation, although he had to face stiff resistance from British government and great opposition from Hindus' Indian National Congress.
Muslims desire freedom more than anyone else, because love for freedom, fraternity, and liberty is the lifeblood of their existence. But freedom must mean freedom both from the British exploitation and Hindu domination.
He led Muslims of subcontinent, and finally, through his endless efforts and great leadership, Muslims got an independent country. He left an enduring legacy in the shape of Pakistan. We owe our freedom to the great leader, who stopped at nothing to get Muslims free from the cruel rulers of the subcontinent.
The life and the property and the religious belief should be fully protected by the state at any cost. I'm looking forward to making Pakistan as one of the greatest nations of the world.
He was recognized for his leadership not only in subcontinent but all over the world. He possessed the attributes of a true figurehead, due to which he was able to pull off such a big achievement, the formation of a free state. As Stanley Wolpert in his book Jinnah of Pakistan said, and I quote, "Few individuals significantly alter the course of history. Fewer still modify the map of the world. Hardly anyone can be credited with creating a nation-state. Muhammad Ali Jinnah did all three." Jinnah was a man of his word. The qualities he possessed made him a true leader.
We must remember that we have to take momentous decisions and handle grave issues facing us in the solution of the complex political problem of this great subcontinent inhabited by 400 million people.
right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a small report, and I think that everybody out there might have taken a lot out of this as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, few basics. For example, when we were about to get started with the show, I was asking Shiza whether she knows where Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was born. And she was a little confused. And
yes, to be honest, I did not know very correctly.
And I do not want, you know, women working with me, especially colleagues, to actually feel that way because of the fact that no struggle can even succeed without women participating side by side.
You're in line with Quaid's vision.
Yes, exactly. That's what we were supposed to do as well. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was born in 1876 in Karachi. And the best part is that I've actually done programs in his residence in Karachi as well, which is right next to Shara Faisal. It's a wonderful place. But other than that, that's not what we're discussing today. Ladies and gentlemen, we definitely come right in front of you to discuss about Quaid's vision and to discuss whether our political leadership is in alignment with his vision or not. And then, you know, as you can see the bugs on the television screen as well, aligning Quaid's vision with the tomorrows to come as well, which was given by one of our guests over here. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, on my right-hand side, we have been joined by Vice Admiral Retired, Mr. Ahmed Tasneem. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam. Fine, thank you.
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. How do you feel on this day?
Oh, I feel very great, considering that I was 12-year-old when we got our independence. And I want to speak from the memory because the good points which last you through your life, they always stay in your memory.
Exactly.
Right.
Pakistan movement, and I started to hear about Pakistan and Quaid-e-Azam during the Second World War. You know, it was going on this time.
Right.
And then the point I want to make is that first thing we heard from Quaid-e-Azam at our schools. I'm a product of Madrasa and Islamia school, who were the middle, lower middle, and they were the bulwark. They were the real support for the Quaid-e-Azam.
Exactly.
First point I want to make is that every time there was some sort of a jalsa where these leaders came, the orders of Quaid were that come to these jalsas after your school period.
Wow.
Schools were never closed.
Wonderful. And
absolutely.
I think these are the things which we need to remember. But moving on, ladies and gentlemen, he's been a regular on the show too as well, and he's one of those gentlemen as well who've actually seen Quaid-e-Azam himself too as well. Ladies and gentlemen, on my right-hand side, we've been joined by a nominee for the Nobel Prize in Literature, Rhodes Scholar. He's an intellectual himself, he's a poet himself, he's an Oxford graduate, and you know, he does a lot of different things. He's none other than Mr. Irshadullah Khan Sahab. Hello sir, Assalamu alaikum. How do you feel today?
Walaikum salam. I feel great, and it's great to be with you all again.
Thank you very much. And I seriously know that you are in sheer need of a glass of water, so if we can request, so please send 2-3 glasses of water in the studios. But moving on, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we wanted representation from every walk of life. So, you know, in today's time, I think me and Shiza, we belong to the youth category. Probably Tasneem Saab and Shah Saab belong to the elderly category, who can actually let us know about the movement, All India Muslim League, what happened.
We can learn
and then we've got our younger generations with us as well. So we have been joined by Kinza. Hello Kinza, Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm fine. How are you?
Absolutely perfect. How do you feel today?
Very enthusiastic and zealous, being a youngster, especially on this day.
Wow, that's great. I'm going to come back to you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by a rock star, and we all know him as Haziq Rockstar. Hello Haziq, Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Well, I'm feeling really patriotic and I'm fine, thank you.
Well, that's great. But what do you have to say on Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's birth anniversary?
Well, I want to say that this day is really important because one of the world's greatest leaders was born in Wazir Mansion.
Exactly.
So, like, it's a really great day for the whole world and especially for Pakistanis. And, well, I'm feeling really patriotic and...
Well, that's great, and we'll definitely get to ask you a lot more questions other than that. And last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by Muhammad Fasih as well. Hello Muhammad, how are you?
I'm fine, how are you?
How do you feel today? You feel great?
I feel great because this is the birthday of our leader, first governor, Quaid-e-Azam.
Very nice, thank you very much. First Governor General of Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, indeed. But now, let me get back to our elderly people who are actually going to set the path for us. So, I am going to start from his vision about fundamental principle of citizen equality, which we still to date are fighting for that, one way or the other, but let's get started with that.
Well, I'll give you my personal examples as a young man.
Okay.
I'll probably surprise you that during this movement, the students were real bulwark and they were the force. We said our prayers together.
Okay.
Okay.
Look at the unity. And another thing which was told to us, of course it was in Urdu but translated in English, was unity, faith, discipline.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, it was in 40s unity, faith, discipline and nothing else.
Right.
Because Quaid believed if you have the unity, you have the strength and you have the faith.
Yeah.
So these were things. And our prayers used to be all together, everybody together. There was never anything, I am this sect and I am that sect. And I feel very proud of my period when we said our prayers together.
Right.
And another point already I've told you, that this motivation for Pakistan was such that even at the age of 10, I think, and my other students, my friends, Pakistan was in our blood.
Right.
Pakistan was in our heart. Pakistan was in our dream. And I'm very proud to say that I'm living so far, about 70 years after Pakistan came, and I feel very proud of this land.
Alhamdulillah.
I really tell you honestly, I could have settled in any country, and so my brother Irshad could have. He is very well qualified. Our generation love our country, and our love is shown that we want to be buried in this soil.
Right.
Absolutely. That is the love of our generation. Another point I want to make is, which may not be like the present generation, that certain social society values
Yeah.
we learnt from our grandparents, from our parents, and in schools. The British government or the governor or the DC did not teach us these values.
Okay.
So I repeat again, it was schools where we were taught these values. It was our grandparents and parents.
Exactly.
This probably is lacking now, but at least we are very proud that these three sources of
Yeah.
strength and education brought us to this stage.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Well, now moving on to you, Mr. Irshad, over here. Now, just before when we were talking, you mentioned that you were there to hear a speech at the Taj Hotel by Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. I know it's been such a long time, but I'm pretty sure it was so impressive and inspiring that some bits of it might have stayed with you till date, right? Can you recall some of that, and how inspiring was it for you as a kid to listen to all of that?
Well, it was very inspiring for me because he was such an impressive looking person.
Indeed.
Physically. Yeah. And he was a great orator.
Okay.
So when he spoke, I mean, when you listening for the first time to a great orator like him, you are absolutely spellbound.
Wow, okay, brilliant. So you do remember all of that. So also, sir, now you've seen the struggle for independence, right? You've seen the movements and everything. More than 70 years down the lane, of course, there's a difference in the real vision of Quaid-e-Azam and what, you know, we have here right now. Do you think we can ever attain the legacy that he left behind in today's time? Can we ever match the legacy that he set, the vision that he set for Pakistan?
I think he left a very strong legacy in what he said. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
I was in London. I was working with the UN in London and I was living in Oxford.
Oh, wow, okay.
And James Callaghan was the Home Secretary at that time.
Offered you to stay in England, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he and his wife Aubrey had become very close to me, and they invited me for dinner. In their two small bedroom flat in South Kensington. He went on later on to become the Prime Minister of England.
Oh, wow.
And after the dinner, he said, Irshad, how long have you been in England? So I said, sir, 6 years. He, oh, 6 years, well, then you qualify for a British passport.
Right.
So I said, sir, I came to your country as a Rhodes Scholar on a green passport. He went red.
Yeah.
He said, young man, but as a common citizen, you can have both.
Right.
So I said, sir, I hope you don't mind, but I prefer to keep just the Pakistani passport.
Wow.
And his wife said, Jim, he doesn't want your passport, go and fix the coffee.
So was it because of the fact that you loved Quaid-e-Azam so much and his personality was so inspiring that you never wanted to be under the leadership of any other leader all over the globe?
Especially British again.
Yeah?
That's correct.
Okay, that's
Absolutely.
good. I think that's amazing. So Kinza, I think it's your turn now. So, I think because, they've actually not really accused, I don't think accused is the right word, that the generations are actually lacking all of those values which were taught back in the days in their schools, and then what their grandparents taught them, what their parents taught them. But what about you? Do you think that we really lack those values these days?
Actually, he's somewhat right. Our new generation, they are not as such aware of the sacrifices which our great leaders have done during the Pakistan moment and since independence.
Yeah.
And basically these are the reasons which serve as the hurdle towards becoming a strong nation.
Exactly.
For we Pakistanis. We think that we as a nation think that only military power serves as an important factor in becoming a strong nation, but actually this is not right. Soft power is also very, very important. Soft power which is backed by military power which is backed by soft power projection. So a strong nation, we can become an independent nation and a strong nation in this way, that if our new generation, our coming generations, they knew about the sacrifices made by the great leaders, as I said earlier. And second thing that sir is also right, that we lack values, both cultural values and personal values. Which
for example,
as
I want to speak about that. I mean, for example, if I am in a gathering and somebody tells me that you lack a bit of value, I would certainly love to know in which areas I'm lacking those values. So which are those areas? Let's identify, let's tell people that we need to work on these issues. Probably I think I'll come back to Tasneem sir for that.
Okay, sure.
So which values, sir?
First of all, I just want to digress. During my student times, the Muslim League flag, the Pakistan flag, was all green.
Yeah.
So I think, I remember very well, when 14th August 1947 came, there was a white portion. So I asked my father, I said, what has happened? And I remember till today what he told me. Of course, he told me in Urdu. He said, my son, this represents the Hindus, the Sikhs, the Christians, and others who fought with us for Pakistan. So I think, I asked many people, what is this white for? They don't know. Quaid-e-Azam's vision was absolutely supreme. We never have a leader like that.
Exactly.
He put flag is the symbol of your pride, and he put the minority rights in the flag.
Yeah.
So here it was. Now we come to the values. I want to really give you an example. First time my ears were pulled by my father was when I left food on a madrasa function in the plate. Example. Second time my ears were pulled when I took food before elder on a school function. So I've told you.
Yeah, that's something I think which we need to agree to over here. Because kids these days,
I mean, I've given
they're
you
like,
practical,
we don't know who's elder, who's younger.
I've given you a practical example when I was 2 occasions pulled up.
Exactly.
And it was a school function, Islamic school function,
Yeah.
and parents' day, that sort of thing.
So let me move over to Haziq. So Haziq, he might probably be your age when his ears were being pulled. So what about you? When you were on the table, do you wait for your mother or father, your guest to probably put food in their plate and then you do it, or you were the first one to actually open up for everybody?
Yeah,
and
no,
you'll
it
have to be
depends.
honest over here, okay?
No, seriously, I am being honest. It depends. It's 50-50, like.
He's very honest, I think. Very
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, I'm the first one to eat.
Okay, that's great. But now, coming down to a point where I want you to actually tell all those people who probably, belong to the age category of you, and then tell them What have you learned from Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah as a leader of the nation?
Okay, so let's take only 3 words: unity, faith, and discipline.
Okay.
And let's compare to like the children's life,
Yeah.
the everyday life. For example, let's take unity. I'll take my school life, and well, there are petty jealousies and individualism everywhere.
Individualism, yeah, yeah.
Everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I also can't.
So there's
speak
no teamwork.
Plural. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
so there's no teamwork.
Yes, there's no teamwork, and like when we're playing football, everybody's like, pass me, pass me. Oh no, I'm going to be the one who's going to go.
Yeah.
Right.
And let's take faith. Well, when Quaid-e-Azam defined faith in 1946 to a student delegation, and he defined faith like have faith in yourself, have faith in your destiny, Pakistan, and have faith in Allah. Well, we don't have any of those faiths these days.
I mean,
And let's take discipline.
Yeah.
Everybody's fighting these days, and like when teachers tell us to keep quiet or sit on our seats or do your neat work, like I'm just taking some examples of everyday life.
right.
So the younger generations, they don't have any of them, sadly.
Okay, but
And since
definitely.
you've talked about, I'm sorry to cut you, but since you talked about discipline, there's no discipline in schools, yes, because my younger sisters wear long nail and nail polishes to schools,
Yeah, I
and no
know.
one asks them. I mean, till
But that's not a problem.
It is. No, honestly,
you can look
there's
as
a
good as you want.
It's just that when you're a student, there's certain rules that you should abide by.
No, I don't agree to this.
I
schooling
totally
system,
do.
Honestly, I seriously do not want schools to school us about whether having long hair, whether wearing jean pants or not.
Shahzad, you are too cool to be a father, but yes, sir.
I think I want to be also fair to, I have grandchildren.
Yes, sir.
Fair to the grandchildren. And I always say that let us not fight the ladder of progress. If I did not argue back with my grandfather or father, I don't expect the same from my grandchildren now, because the times have moved, thought process have moved, and people of my generation, I want to tell them that you must exercise patience and give them a right of reply and discussion. It should not be a one-way discussion as in our times. I'll be very fair.
I think that's great, but let me move on to Irshad over there. Now, Tasneem Sahib was very correctly mentioned that, back in those days, there was no Shiites, there was no Sunnis, it was just Muslim community or Christians. And, by Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah was revered as their leader by the minorities too as well.
Yes.
Back in those days, Christians were with him and whatnot. But back then, getting independence for a cause where it was supposed to be Islamic Republic of Pakistan was for a greater cause where they wanted to stay Muslims, no Shia, no Sunni, no nothing. That was a greater mission. But now eventually when you achieve your greater mission, obviously you have to set things better, till the way you find your destiny or you reach towards your destiny. But unfortunately, rather than going into the right direction, I don't know where we went haywire and, everything went out of control all of a sudden. And getting things back or getting the cat back in the bag is now very difficult for everybody, and we have seen it in the recent days as well. So what do you propose? What should we do as a nation?
I think this is a very important point you have raised, particularly on this particular day. It is absolutely essential for our leaders to motivate our people to think as Muslims, that we're all Muslims.
Exactly.
And those who are Christians, or Hindus, or Parsis, or Sikhs, whatever faith is running. But let them follow their faiths, as the Quaid had said, and not bifurcate even Muslims into segments.
Exactly.
We don't need that. And we certainly need this very strongly in our education, in our schools and colleges. This was rammed through, so it sinks into the minds of people.
But one way or the other, I've never ever been to a school where they actually teach this to us. They're probably all about definitions and reading books and learning them. That's it. And none of the books, even within our curriculum, states that other than Islamiyat probably.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Right.
That's the problem.
What do you do then?
Yeah.
I think, as I said, that I'm very proud that I went first 3 years madrasa and then Islamic school.
Yeah.
And I really tell you with the best of my memory and best of my iman that I never heard this Brelvi, Deobandi, this I never heard. I never heard.
There was
And
no
I
such concept.
really texted when you called me for interview. I said, did I ever hear? There were only two sects, the Fiqh Jafriya and in our school we said our prayers. At the same time, separately, there was only half an hour break and that's it. There was never anything. As a matter of fact, I don't remember any friction, any loud argument or this. I don't remember anything. Others, I never heard any sex. This I started to hear in 50s. I never heard. So I think this must have been the Quaid-e-Azam leadership. All the leaders were of various sects, and I think they all, this was never raised.
And it never happened.
So I think Irshad Sahib is right. It's the mindset, unfortunately, and this mindset, I got love for Pakistan from my school and parents. So I think the syllabi needs to be looked into. And I have no hesitation in saying I've given best part of my life to Pakistan in saying and demanding that anything which breeds hatred or dislike of other sects should be banned in our schools. It should not be done.
Definitely.
Our schools, like Quaid-e-Azam, unity, faith and discipline should be taught. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Sorry, just quickly. This concept of divisions does not occur in our armed forces at all.
Exactly.
Right, sir.
Our armed forces are totally united for our country.
Disciplined, yes.
And within our armed forces, ladies and gentlemen, I think I must tell everybody who's out there, we've got people who belong to the Sikh community, we've got people who are Christians, we've got people from each and every minority, and they're a part of us, and they defend Pakistan as their own land, as their homeland as well. Which is why I'm going to move on to Fassi over here, because Fassi has actually prepared a very national and patriotic anthem for us. So, which one is it? क्या सुनाओगे आप हमें?
यूं दी हमें आज़ादी के दुनिया हुई हैरान, यूं दी हमें आज़ादी के दुनिया हुई हैरान, ए कायद आज़म तेरा एहसान एहसान, तेरा एहसान है, तेरा एहसान, तेरा एहसान है, तेरा एहसान। हर सिमत मुसलमानों पे छाई थी तबाही, मुल्क अपना था और गैरों के हाथों में थी शाही, इतने में उठा दीन मोहम्मद का सिपाही, इस्लाम का झंडा लिए आया सर मैदान, इस्लाम का झंडा लिए आया सर मैदान, ए कायद आज़म तेरा एहसान है एहसान, तेरा एहसान है, तेरा एहसान।
Wonderful, very nice. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head out towards a short break.
Yes.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned.
Good morning.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching World This Morning with Shahzad Khan and Shahzad Hashmi. And today we're celebrating the birth anniversary of this one person who made us what we are. We are free, we are Pakistanis, we have a nationality, and it is all because of the untiring efforts of Muhammad Ali Jinnah.
Exactly.
And that is why we're gathered here. We're celebrating his birthday on the 25th of December. I'm so sorry for the tongue slip.
And then at the same time, I think that all of those efforts are very enticing right now as well for all those people who reside within this motherland. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, we really need to reiterate upon Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's message, and for that particular reason, we have taken out a few quotations, which I think are very close to my heart and to people who are out there who are actually listening to us as well. So I'm going to start with that one, and sir, please do share your opinions, your thoughts about it. It's for example, I want it to be kind of where, you know, we actually used to read Shero Shairi and then we had to do Tashri and then Siyako Sabak, what is the actual meaning of this quotation. So think 100 times before you take a decision, but once you take a decision, stand by it. I mean, this is one thing which is a dilemma in Pakistan. Our political leadership takes a decision and then, well, I
don't say it.
Yeah, I don't know what to say it, but I think that I have to do justice with my job too as well. Now, what kind of decisions are we taking where we actually have to take a step back and do not then stand by it? So is it what we are, or we really need to change the thought process?
I'll be very honest. In last twilight years of my life, that I think, as Shah Sahib has pointed out, my basic education came, as I said, from my parents, grandparents, and school.
Yes, sir.
I think that we keep on changing the syllabus in our school all the time.
Yeah.
For instance, in my Islamic school, I had 4 languages, which is unheard of now. Farsi, Arabic, Urdu, and English. Is there any institution which teaches these 4 languages?
But these days they teach Chinese.
Well, Chinese are also 4 languages.
It's the need of the hour.
Absolutely. And discipline. And I'll also be very honest in saying that the syllabi before 47 was a very fair syllabi.
Okay.
I have no brief for the British who ruled us, certainly not, but I have my own integrity and honesty. We started, for instance, in my metric or earlier, we read autobiography of Abraham Lincoln. Okay. Nothing to do with India, nothing to do with Pakistan at that time. But it is a new change, you know, how he fought absolutely equal rights, etc.
Exactly.
How he gave equal rights to the other races, etc. Right. War of Roses, English history, and also contribution of all dynasties to subcontinent. It is very fair. Why should we deny? I mean, at my age, I think that subcontinent, every dynasty, starting from Mughals and earlier on, they've all contributed. So why are we trying to change the history?
Exactly.
It is only, I mean, my message is also to Indians, that don't try to change the history. Right. Everybody has contributed. People of my age group, some are still living in India, have absolutely read this history, which was very fair. So let us be very fair. So they should not deny what Muslim contribution is.
Exactly.
I mean, they can't deny that Taj Mahal was built by a non-Muslim. I mean, things like that I hear, that's not good. And we should also appreciate what has been done by other dynasties.
Exactly.
So fair curriculum and fair syllabus at schools, I think, is where a child is really made up, you know, his mindset is made up.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So if you had asked me one thing what should do, I absolutely support Irshad Sahib that we should really sit down without any reservation and with it will be very unpopular.
Yeah.
Without any reservation. And I think make the syllabi which eventually will make us united and one nation.
But now it's also moving on to you. Now, Tahseen Sahib has said some beautiful words, but it is very unrealistic in today's time, to my thought process. And it is because of the fact that whether you study over here in Pakistan or in India, you will see some massive changes within the books as well, you know, or because I think that the history has been forged quite a lot of times, may it be us or may it be them. I think both the parties have actually played cordially enough to change and then maintain with it. But I want to come back to the quotation where we said that think 100 times before you take a decision. Once you take it, stand by it. How do we instill this value in our generations to come?
I think you chose an excellent quotation. Excellent quotation. Because this should be the pivot on which a country should be based.
Exactly.
Right.
You cannot keep changing decisions.
Absolutely.
It should never happen in any country. If you have made a decision, think more than 1,000 times. Even.
Yeah.
But when you have decided that this is the correct thing, then go ahead. Making a decision does not mean right or wrong.
Right.
It is that you have thought about it for so long that you know and you're convinced that this is the right decision.
No matter what the consequences.
No matter what the consequences,
Right.
and you go ahead with that decision.
Right. Very right.
And go ahead with it.
And which is why at this point of time, ladies and gentlemen, we once again are going to share one of those very interesting and very amazing patriotic song which is actually made about Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Millat ka pasaba hai, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. It's coming your way. Let's get nostalgic. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think everybody loved every part of this song as well. But now we've been joined by one amazing individual, and he's none other than Subhan Dar. Hello, Subhan. How are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I'm feeling great.
Thank you very much for joining us. How do you feel today?
I'm feeling honored to be here on this show where we are celebrating the birthday of Quaid-e-Azam
Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Indeed, that's great. But what's going to happen in your school today? You know, do you have any shows, any debates where you guys are going to talk about Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah or the values he's passed on to us?
Yes, in a school we always on every year we have national songs.
Competition.
National song competitions, English speech, Urdu debates, and many other activities.
Very nice. Now let me move on to our rock star over here. So rock star, now you know you've been listening to our conversation, and our elderly have actually said that these days, you know, within the curriculum, there are different things. How many times does your teachers actually emphasize on that, you know, okay, it's Quaid-e-Azam's birthday today, so everybody needs to remember a quotation, or they have to do something which is in line with remembering his values?
Well, it's a different kind of, you know, celebration in our school about, you know, Quaid-e-Azam's birthday. Like, we do morning assemblies that about his life, and, you know, it's actually a discussion, and we also do debates.
Okay.
Well, not national song competitions, but we do debates.
But have you been a part of a debate? Have you been a part of
many times.
Okay, so
many times.
So what do you talk about Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah when you were in a debate with somebody?
Well, it was not like debating with somebody. It's like just gave us
just telling people. Okay, go ahead.
About Quaid-e-Azam. So
tell us about Quaid-e-Azam. Go ahead.
Yes, he was Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah.
Yeah.
Yes, one of the greatest leaders of the world.
Yeah.
And Pakistan, of course. He was born on 25th December 1876 in Karachi.
Yes.
And well, nobody knew that who was born. Well, at that time.
Yeah.
But now we know, and I think we should be following his quotations. We should be, you know, taking him as a role model of our lives.
Yeah. I think that's great. And you know, at the same time, if I followed Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, I think I've loved to follow him, the way he used to dress up, the way he used to speak, the way.
There's a cool fact.
Yeah.
He never wore the same tie twice.
Oh yes, I read about that. That's brilliant.
Yes,
right?
and do you know that? I think that
a lot of ties.
You might probably know, but kids need to know it, that he was a lawyer and Miss Fatma Jinnah was a dentist.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, nobody knew that. So ladies and gentlemen, imagine that back in those days, I mean, we are still fighting for education over here in Pakistan, where people do not even get to go to school. He traveled abroad, he studied, his sister studied as well. So imagine that the emphasis of education was in that time, and now, you know, Tasneem Saab has actually correctly mentioned as well, where, you know, he said that the type of education we had back then, the education today is not even closer to that, and we have modernized education. And there's one thing which I want to say or speak certainly, and that is, imagine cars back in 1876, and you know, I've seen cars Quaid-e-Azam has been rolling around in it as well. But other than that, cars have changed, you know, there's newer technology, hybrid, whatnot, industry has changed, whatnot. But our classrooms have never changed. It's the same blackboard, it's the same teacher, and the same things over and over again. How do you think we can improve that?
Well, I think you are right. I am leaving the schools of elite, which is 5 to 6%, please. That is not majority. I'm talking about 95%.
Okay.
I'm very proud and thankful to Allah Ta'ala that I did my initial education sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
absolutely, and then the desk and all that.
Yeah.
And after partition, I went to Islamic school in Jung. And I think some of the classrooms in Jung, with the desk, wooden desks and all that, were better off at that time than they are today.
Okay.
Some or other, later on, I tried to help my old school. I think we probably have not gone like improving the labs. This happened with me.
Yeah.
I visited my old school many years later, and I was shocked to see the lab same as I was. So we got some money together and improved the lab. Lab, which is scientific education.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you what I learned from my schools.
Sure, sir.
It was physical fitness, because my Hafiz Quran played football with me. He was fit. Then Safai Nisman, because every time after football, if we will throw the Gandheri Chilka anywhere else, the Maulvi was at us.
Okay.
Absolutely. And science. My science teacher was Qari Muhammad Sadiq, if I recall. He was a Qari of international fame. So, I mean, this is what we learned.
Exactly.
At my age, physical fitness, science,
Hygiene.
and cleanliness.
Yes.
So, this is what our... Now I tell you with my pain, I am a frequent walker and jogger in the sports stadium.
Yes, sports complex, yes.
And the schools have functions. And it is painful how they leave the litter. And I absolutely, I'll send you the word, absolutely.
It is, it is. I'm a witness to that.
You're a witness to that, you probably also go.
So, Subhan, when you're playing, for example, whatever you're playing, whether you play football and you're chewing a gum, where do you throw it? Wherever you find a place?
I always throw it in the dustbin.
In the dustbin. That's great, and remember that, okay, because our elderly are actually reiterating upon that too as well. But you've prepared a song for us.
But
which one is it?
Move on
Yeah,
to that,
okay.
there's just one thing I need to ask.
Sorry, I
Kinza
forgot to
over here.
raise the finger.
No problem at all. So Kinza, now this is, I'm asking you this because the Pakistan that you've seen, a major chunk of the actual Pakistan, you, of course, none of us has seen, you, me, Shahzad, the youngster, of course. So this script that you've read in your book's textbook about Quaid-e-Azam, about the movement and everything, about his values and the lessons that he gave out, do you think that they are alien to you in terms of the Pakistan that you're seeing now, or are they relatable anyhow? Be honest, I don't want a scripted or a Googled answer. I want your understanding of it.
Actually, some of them, like they are alien to us. For example, when today we talk about women empowerment, at the time the women leaders, they were very active in Pakistani movements.
Absolutely.
But today when we talk about women empowerment, we are labeled as feminists.
Right, right.
So this is the one factor. And second thing about unity. It was a very famous message of Quaid-e-Azam of unity to all the people at that time that upheld unity. Today we are very proud to call ourselves as Pashtuns, Balochis, Sindhis, Bengalis.
Right.
We don't say that we are Pakistan. So this factor is also missing today in us. And the last thing, which is that three things that Quaid-e-Azam also highlighted, that was courage, confidence and hope.
Exactly.
So I think that our writers, lyricists and poets, they need to basically give nation the impotence to stand up for their rights. So this thing is missing in us today.
And for that, we'll definitely come back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head out for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Good morning.